All right, so I have white ink, right? And I'm trying to print it through my screen, but it's just way too thick. How do I fix that? They have what's called curable reducer. And they always say use 10%, um, 5 to 10%. I, I use enough to make it creamy. Um, Probably the consistency of toothpaste, but a little bit thicker. But you have to be careful with white ink because if you make it too thin, it will lose its opacity and the dyes from the shirt will bleed through. And so you'll have white on there. When you print it, it'll look really good. But once you send it through the dryer, the next day, it'll be gray. Or that white will really look faded. So every print shop is going to be different because people use different inks, and you can use, different amounts of reducer. But you'll kind of see once you start kind of playing with it and mixing it, mixing the reducer in on what you need to get the consistency that you need to keep it bright, but also thin enough to where it'll push through the screen. I like using the soft side of my squeegee. I have an automatic, and I like using the soft side of my squeegee because it just lays a little more ink on it. Your angle matters too on how bright the white is. But I've noticed that when you get it thin enough and you get that right consistency that works for you, man, it works great. So if your white ink is really thick, grab you some reducer and mix it up till about that consistency there, or I really can't tell you the consistency, but once you start printing it, you'll see what it looks like. Get you a few test shirts and try it out on some test shirts because you might be able to go a lot thinner than what you think. But it ain't nothing worse than trying to print a shirt and the ink is so thick that it won't go through the screen. And it starts coming up. The shirt starts coming up. It starts kind of gumming up in the screen. And the print just looks horrible. It's not smooth at all. It's all crunchy looking. So thin down that white ink. Thin it down. And just try some shirts. You watching Cam's Print Shop. I'm going to keep these videos coming.